What's going on, guys? Welcome to my driver tier list for the 2023 Brazilian Grand Prix. So, as usual, this is mainly focused on the main Grand Prix itself. However, qualifying and the sprint and sprint qualifying and all that sort of stuff does somewhat play into it as well, but it is predominantly about the actual Grand Prix itself. So let's just get straight into it, starting with Alexander Albon, who finished, he did not finish. We had, 6 retirements in the end for this Grand Prix? And yeah, Albon was one of the first, not the first, we'll get to that in a little bit, yeah, had a crash with Magnussen right at the start of the race, and Hulkenberg was also involved, and yeah, it wasn't, I'd say out of the three of them, it was probably the least Albon's fault. Magnussen kind of came across a little bit, and squeezed Hulkenberg, who then, tapped around Albon. So it's difficult to, I think, all in all, going into that corner, it's very much more so a racing incident, but I definitely wouldn't put the blame on Albon first before anyone else. I would just say, though, it is mostly a racing incident. If anything, looking at the replay, I'd maybe say maybe even Magnussen was the worst, because he did kind of squeeze a little bit, and Hulkenberg didn't really have anywhere to go, and I mean, Albon was on the outside, he wasn't really turning right into him, so it was a racing incident, but it wasn't Albon's fault. Qualifying wasn't amazing anyway. Did he score points in the sprint? I can't quite remember. I don't think he did this weekend. It was not the best weekend for Williams, all in all. So yeah, I'm gonna give Albon a I think I'm still going to give him a B, because it was still a good enough performance. There wasn't really much more he could have done, to be completely honest. Yeah, like I said, I only have the results from the race. I don't have the sprint results here, but this is mostly on the race anyway. And I mean, yeah, there wasn't really anything he could do. Qualifying didn't go amazingly, but yeah, what else can you say? He got knocked out. I mean, maybe a B's a bit too nice. But yeah, I don't really think it was really his fault, so I'm going to go with a B. Fernando Alonso, what a weekend. For me, probably driver of the day. It's an easy S for me. Coming from how far back he was, to finishing third and having the most amazing battle with Sergio Perez right at the end, or for the last 5 or 6 laps, to be honest. That last lap was amazing to watch. Yeah, it was just such a good race from Fernando. It's funny that Aston Martin have actually gone backwards with their car, like they've taken upgrades off their car, and now it's, well, at least going off this weekend, it's pretty much back to where it was at the start of the season, performance-wise. I mean, McLaren are quicker than them, but yeah, they were great this weekend. Even Stroll was great this weekend, which we'll get onto. But yeah, great from Fernando. Easiest S of my life here. Such a great performance. Valtteri Bottas, he did finish. Did he finish? I can't quite see. Where's Bottas? I can't find Bottas. There he is. He didn't finish. Oh yeah, both Alfa Romeos retired. I think just issues with the car. Yeah, not great from Alfa Romeo this weekend. It's just going to be a C for them, for both of them probably, which happens quite a lot. It is making me wonder if maybe I've put Albon too high there with a B. Just give me a sec, I'm just going to check where he qualified and also where he finished in the sprint. Okay, so we qualified 15th, which, he got into Q2, but I mean, it wasn't the best qualifying. He was actually, I mean, I think the track got worse, to be honest, throughout qualifying, but he qualified 15th with a 110.8. Sargent was 19th, but only a 111.0, so not actually that far behind. So I think I'm actually going to go for a C for Albon. Just more of the fact of his qualifying was good, but not amazing. Got beaten by both Hasses, so that's something to take into consideration. Didn't seem a whole lot quicker than Logan this weekend, and he got taken out on the first lap, whether it was his fault or not. Can't really say much about the race for him, so I think a C. I'm going to downgrade it to a C. Pierre Gasly, I've got to now flick back to, where are we looking? To the race results. Pierre Gasly finished P7. It wasn't good qualifying for Alpine, but they had really good race pace. And Gasly especially was so quick this weekend, and it was actually really good performance from Gasly. I'm going to give him an A, because I think, he really pushed the car forward this weekend. To get a P7 was a pretty damn good result, I think. I mean, the Mercedes had no race pace, so managed to get past them. But yeah, really good race for Gasly this weekend. Lewis Hamilton finished P8, and the Mercedes just didn't have any pace, just did not have any pace this weekend. Not, I wouldn't say that was Lewis's fault, or even Russell's fault at all. The car just didn't have the pace. I will say that I think Russell seemed to have a little bit more pace in the race. You know, at one point he was saying, "Can you let me pass?" And then Hamilton kind of went off a little bit further, and it's kind of difficult. I'm going to go a B because I think the car definitely let them down this week, and it's probably going to be a B for Russell as well. Yeah, poor weekend for Mercedes, but I can't really put that down to the drivers. They just had no pace at all. Nico Hulkenberg, yeah, like I said, he got caught up in that issue at the start. Ended up finishing P12. Yeah, I think it's a C. I mean, a P12 for a Haas is pretty good, but when you've got 6 retirements in a race, yeah, it's not as impressive, but it's still decent. And yeah, I mean, although I wouldn't put him to blame for that, he did kind of just get squeezed at the start, but I think a C. What else can you really say for Haas? I've said that a lot of times, I know. Now, Charles Leclerc, this is a difficult one. He, of course, didn't even start because he crashed out on the formation lap. It was apparently a hydraulic issue, and when you look at the replay, that's surely what it was, because he's just turning, and then all of a sudden the wheel just goes completely loose, and he just spins the car around, and then he gets going again, and apparently it pretty much did it again at slow speed, so that's when he pulled over, retired from the start. But yeah, a good performance in all this weekend, you know, with qualified P2 just behind Verstappen. He did pretty well in the sprint as well, so I really can't give him a bad grade, because he's just got super unlucky. So I'm going to give him an A. I'm going to give him an A because he qualified well. He had a pretty good sprint race all in all, and yeah, from what I can tell, that was not his fault at all, the formation lap crash. So yeah, an A. It's probably the highest grade I'm ever going to give somebody that doesn't even start a race, but, you know, good performance all in all. Wasn't his fault. Maybe a B is a bit more reasonable, but you know what? Yeah, I'm going to give him a B because I feel like I can't give him higher than that for not starting the race. Kevin Magnussen did not finish, crashed out at the start. Like I said, I don't think any of it was really his fault. He actually, from what I remember, no, I don't think he out-qualified. I think he out-qualified Hulkenberg in, was it the sprint qualifying, or am I just making that up in my head? I can't remember. Both Hasses in Q2 though. Yeah, I think it's just another C. Once again, I think the accident was probably, if I was going to put blame on anyone, it probably would be Magnussen, but it's still a racing incident. It's very minute, so I'm just going to go down the middle and go with a C. Lando Norris, another brilliant performance. Not a good qualifying for him, qualified P7, but he was kind of let down by his teammates spinning out and getting caught up with the yellow flag. And then, of course, the heavens broke loose in Brazil. So he just kind of got unlucky there and had the pace to get up to P2 right at the start, and yeah, stayed there and was pretty damn quick, even rivaled Verstappen for the lead at one point. So it's an S for me for Lando Norris. He's driving absolutely out of his skin at the moment, and I'm loving it as a Lando Norris fan. Esteban Ocon, bit of a wishy-washy weekend for Ocon, finished P10 in the end. But yeah, didn't quite seem to have the pace of Gasly, I don't think, this weekend. Of course, the crash in qualifying, I put it on Gasly. Yes, Alonso was there on the outside, but Alonso probably could have given him a bit more room round, what is that, turn 2, kind of turn 3 really, wasn't it? Alonso could have given him more room, but ultimately Gasly got a little bit of a swapper on. If Alonso wasn't there, he probably would have caught it and there wouldn't have been an issue. But because Alonso was there, he went into Alonso, and yeah, I put that on Ocon. I'm still going to give him a B because he's come through to at least score a point, and I don't think he's a mile. He's a lap down. Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to give him a C. He's a lap down, so a decent way behind his teammate. I mean, not 56 seconds behind the leader for Gasly, so it's probably actually only a good maybe 15 seconds with how long the laps are in Brazil. But yeah, I'm going to give him a C because I think that crash was, yeah, more his fault. Although unlucky because, like I said, if Alonso wasn't there, he probably wouldn't have had that crash. But yeah, he also didn't conduct himself very well after that and still hasn't seemed to have taken responsibility for it. So I'm going to go a C, maybe a bit harsh. Sergio Perez finally had a good weekend this weekend after the disappointment that was Mexico. finally somewhat being on the pace, but making that mistake at turn one. But this time he had better pace. He was close to max in qualifying, had a good qualifying. I think he qualified third, dropped to like fifth right at the start. Finished P4 in the end because of the whole thing with Alonso, but a great battle that was. I'm actually going to give Perez an A because I think he's still finished a long way behind his teammate, but he definitely put up more of a fight. It was good fair racing with Alonso. I'm going to give him an A for that. It's the best performance Perez has had for quite some time. So although he didn't get on the podium, it was very, very close, ridiculously close, half a tenth of a second, but it was very good from Perez this weekend compared to what he's been doing lately. Oscar Piastri, bit of a disappointing one for Piastri. Didn't quite seem to have the quali pace. Of course, had that spin in Q3, so that screwed him over. Qualified 10th. Got damaged right at the start with the Albon Magnussen incident. Wasn't his fault, but he got the damage. Then, managed to get the car fixed under the red flag, but for some stupid reason with that rule, I don't know what that rule was about, how him and Ricciardo with the damage had to start a lap down. I think that was ridiculous. I do not understand that rule at all. And then, pretty much couldn't do anything from there, but didn't really seem to have the pace. So I'm going to give him a C because it's kind of like I can't really judge him. He finished last of the runners because of that issue. So and it was actually 2 laps down in the end. So I don't know what that's about. Not sure if they retired him right on the last lap. I can't remember. But not a good weekend for Oscar. He's been a little bit all over the place since he had the win in the sprint in Qatar, and then he's kind of dropped off quite a bit. And Norris has really stepped up in the last couple of races. Daniel Ricciardo, similar story, not with dropping off of performance, but with the damage, a lap down, same thing as Piastri, but seemed to have pretty good pace this weekend. So I'm going to give Ricciardo a B because he definitely was better. I don't think he scored points in the sprint, but he was very, very close. And he had a great little race there in the sprint. And then, the main race, just unfortunate for him with the whole lap down situation. But I'm going to give him a B because I think he did better than Piastri and definitely had better pace throughout the weekend. George Russell, another difficult one. It's going to be another B. Really just the case of the Mercedes didn't have pace this weekend. He seemed about there with Hamilton. Sometimes he seemed quicker, sometimes he wasn't as quick. So, it was all right from Russell, but the Mercedes just had no pace and he ended up retiring, apparently due to some sort of failure that they were seeing coming, so they just thought, no, we'll just retire the car. They were probably going to fall out of the points anyway with Russell, so a bit of a weekend to forget for him. Maybe it's even a C for Russell, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and go for a B. Carlos Sainz ended up finishing P6. Managed to get past the Mercedes, but didn't quite have the pace as some other cars. I'm just going to go for a B for Sainz. He was outperformed by his teammate this weekend, but finished ahead of him, or actually started, unlike his teammate. But I think it's just a B, nothing amazing. Logan Sargent actually ended up finishing P11, of course helped out a lot by 6 cars not finishing, but I think he seemed to be once again this weekend on better pace. Since USA, he's been pretty good on pace. The last 3 races, his pace has been a lot better. He's been a lot closer to Albon. I'm going to give him a B because he did actually finish the race. And P11. Yes, you've got all those retirements, but I think that's Logan seems to be at least getting somewhere. So I'm going to give him a B. Lance Stroll, a really good weekend from Stroll actually. Ended up finishing P5 in that Aston Martin. A really good result, not a mile off Alonso. It's not an S, but it's an A. It's a pretty good A for Stroll. One of, if not probably his best weekend of the year, to be honest. Very, very good. Tsunoda, another good result for him. Finished P9 in the race. I think it was P6 in the sprint, or P7. I think, P6, because I think he got 3 points. Great race from Tsunoda, in the sprint. And good in the race, not quite as good, but P9 finish, so points in both. I think very good. I think it's an A for Tsunoda. He was quicker than Ricciardo this weekend. Of course, he was quicker. He was better than Ricciardo in the race because of Ricciardo's issue. But really good from Tsunoda. He's definitely showing his moments as well and had a bit more patience, unlike in Mexico where he made that mistake when he was looking to score good points. Max Verstappen, it's an S. He didn't get pole in the sprint, but he instantly got it into P1 into turn 1, and then, yeah, I had to actually go a little bit defensive on Lando Norris in the race, but all in all, had it controlled, and yeah, easy win once again for Verstappen. And then finally, Zhou Guanyu, who I'm going to have to put in C. Once again, Alfa Romeo just kind of nowhere. But there we have it. We don't have anyone lower than a C, because I don't think there was anybody that was dreadful this weekend. There was just a lot of kind of mediocre and, you know, a lot of issues for drivers, but it wasn't really their fault in any of the cases. So that is it. We're all kind of at the top half of the field there. But if I had to give my driver of the weekend, driver of the day, it's got to be Fernando Alonso. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.